Vlog FPV. In this box we have the super small 55mm Tiny Whoop Nano. It only weighs 18 grams. It's the result of a collaboration between Team Black Sheep and Tiny Whoop, aka Jesse Perkins. I'm very excited about this Tiny Whoop as the F3 flight controller supports turtle mode on a brushed whoop, which is an industry first. I still really like flying the brushed whoops. Yeah, I do fly brushless whoops as whoop class as well, but for indoor flying, I still like the linear response of the brushed whoops better. So one with turtle mode really, I think, is a game changer for me. So let's see what we get in the plastic carrying case. That's very nice. You get the Nano right here. You get a spare canopy. Looks like you get a set of props, spare props, and you get a charger. And then you also get a 260 mAh TBS graphene battery, which is nice. Get you started. I would recommend getting, quite a few batteries. With Tiny Whoops, you need a lot of these, so would recommend ordering quite a few more of these. Let's go ahead and compare it in size and weight to the newbie drone Acro Bee Light that I have here. This is you can see the difference. It definitely is smaller. So let's go ahead and get a weight measurement of this. Let's go ahead and tar this out. What I'm measuring is 18 grams, so it meets the spec. Let's go ahead and look at the newbie drone light. It's 20 grams, so 2 grams lighter. So let's quickly go through the specs. It is a 55mm wheelbase here versus 65mm for your classic whoops. So 10mm smaller. The flight controller is an F3 flight controller that is running TBS Herald firmware, which is brand new for Team Black Sheep. The VTX is a Pro Nano Unify that supports both 25 milliwatt and 50 milliwatt and has integrated smart audio. So this will allow you to change the channels in bands via your radio, which is very, very nice. The VTX antenna is a linear dipole. You can see it right there in the back. They have it glued on. The stock motors are 17,000 kV 0615 motors, but you could upgrade those. You can see you have some more space here to put in larger motors. You could go up to 0617 according to the documentation. The camera on the front here is 700 TVL. The receiver in here, and you can see that's built in, supports FrSky D16. The battery that was supplied with this, again, is the Graphene 1S 260 mAh battery. The frame design is quite interesting. As you can see, they're almost using the battery as part of the stiffening of the frame. Instead of having a basket, they do have a basket, but it's on both ends, and you just slide the battery in from the back, and then it plugs in this way, which is quite unique. I kind of like that. So the frame design is quite a bit different. So they say it will support, these happen to be 260 mAh size batteries, 1S. It says that it'll support 300 mAh 1S battery. That's assuming that the dimensions are the same for it to slide in. So the larger batteries are probably going to be obviously a little longer, and I'll try that out. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go through the steps of binding this up with the FR Sky Taranis X9D radio that I have. It will work with other transmitters that are running OpenTX. So the process that you have to go through next is loading the model into your radio transmitter. So I'm going to be doing that next, and I'll show you how to get that done. You're going to need to download the model from the Team Black Sheep website. I'll link it below. So you're going to navigate to the Tiny Whoop Nano page, and here at the bottom you should download the Tiny Whoop Nano manual. Also, there's a Tiny Whoop Nano model file. You just click on that, and it's going to download a bin file, and I'll show you how to load that on your Taranis radio or radio that's running OpenTX. Good, just pull out the SD card from your Taranis and load the model, the Tiny Whoop Nano model, directly onto the SD card and just plug it back in. I'm going to go ahead and do it a different approach by just connecting up the USB port and then just copying it directly without having to remove the SD card. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into the bootloader mode, which is holding in your trim switches and then powering it on, and it puts it into bootloader mode. And then I'll go ahead and plug in the USB port here. And now it says it's connected. The two files for the Taranis radio, you need to select the T-Whoop NS. This is the top one is for X-Lite. And so I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop it into the models directory. And it copies it over, and that's it. So now we'll go ahead and power up the radio and set up the model. Turn on your radio.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Go ahead and hit menu, and I'm going to go ahead and restore the model. So I'll hit enter here and say restore model. In this case, we're going to select the T-Whoop NS, hit enter, and there it created the model, and you can go ahead and select that model. And there it is, the T-Whoop NS. That's all there is to it. So now that we have the model loaded on the Taranis, we need to bind the Taranis radio to the Nano. And to do that, you're going to have to pull this canopy off. And the canopy design is very similar to other Whoops. There's a little tab here, see if I can get that in focus, that you're going to have to move the canopy over that post there and pull it off. So I'll do that right now. Now that we have the canopy off, you need to locate the bind button on the Nano. And this one is kind of hard to see. You want to be using a toothpick. You can kind of see here's the VTX board. It's just right underneath there. So it's a little bit fiddly. You're going to have to maybe have somebody help you, but what you need to do is plug the battery in while you're depressing the bind button after you put the Taranis into bind mode, which I'll show you how to do right now. So you'll turn on your Taranis.
Welcome to OpenTX. Throttle warning.
It's going to come up with Tiny Whoop NS splash screen. You're going to hit menu. You're going to hit page then, and plus. You're at the top of the screen too, but to get to the bottom, it's just quicker to go plus, and now you're at the bottom. You're going to want to make sure that you're in D16 mode, which this already is, and then you're going to scroll down and hit enter on bind, channel 138 telemetry on, and hit enter, and then it's going to put it into bind mode. And what I like to do is get the battery partially plugged in so that you can just kind of squeeze it a little bit while you're depressing the bind button. So I'm going to do that right now. So if you are successful at binding, you should see the green LED lit like it is here. So here are my final thoughts on the TBS Tiny Whoop Nano. Highlights, it truly is a nano in size in both weight and dimensions, which is great if you're wanting to do proximity flying, flying underneath chairs and that sort of thing. It's really easy to navigate. It's a great little proximity flyer if you want to go around cruising around your house, and it definitely is fun to fly, which is a highlight. The VTX is incredible. Even at 25 milliwatts, it produced a very clean video. I was flying from inside the house to outside the house with no breakups. You can see that from the video that I have at the end. I was at my mother's house, and you can see I was clear on the back end of the house, and I was flying all the way out the garage door and was flying around my car, and I didn't get any video breakup, so that's definite highlight. The low light capability of the camera was great. In the video that I shot at my mother's house, I flew downstairs in the basement and I didn't have any lights on. The only light I had was the window well light, and you could fly around, navigate really well even in low light. The throttle response is very linear with the tune they have for angle mode, and I think that's great for a beginner pilot. The frame is very durable and held up well in crashes, and the turtle mode, which is a first for a brushed whoop, I thought worked out great. If you are upside down, it works better if you're doing front and back flips versus rolls. As you can see from my video, I was upside down in the video, and it flipped over great and I was doing a backflip in that case. So that definitely is a highlight. The TBS X Agent is very easy to use. It's essentially a stripped down version, in my mind, of the Betaflight configurator. So it'd be like taking the Betaflight configurator and stripping a lot of the functionality out of it, but you still can adjust rates, and you can adjust PID loops and all sorts of other things. It's just a lot easier to use than if you're a novice or I should say a beginning pilot. So I thought that was nice. Low lights, the biggest for me is the canopy is literally paper thin. As you can see, I already broke this one. And I gave it to my 89-year-old mother to try and see if it passed the great-grandmother test, and it didn't. She had never flown a tiny whoop type drone before, so she was trying to get it to hover a little bit, and she gave it too much throttle, and it hit the ceiling and then cracked the canopy. So I would recommend that you get some extra canopies. I understand that they're trying to keep this thing as light as possible, but this thing just didn't hold up very well, and I might end up printing out a TPU canopy of some sort. So for me, that was a low light, and I would hope that they come out with a thicker canopy, because this one just didn't hold up at all. The other low light for me was the Nano flies great in angle mode, but I didn't feel like it flew very well in acro mode. This was really designed to be a little micro cruiser that cruises around your house, but in acro mode, maybe it's the rates, and I'll go ahead and try and change the rates to match what I normally fly. What I plan on doing is putting the Mockingbird tune, Project Mockingbird tune that just came out for this thing, and hopefully that will tune it to where somebody that is a little more experienced at flying whoops be a little more tuned for that. So I'll do a video on that. I think another low light would be finding parts. I did have a kind of a hard time finding some spare canopies for this. I did finally find find a site, A Main Hobbies had one, and Healy Nation had them in stock, but then they quickly went out of stock. So if you find canopies that are in stock, you definitely want to pick up a few of those. In summary, if you're into brushless whoops, I would say yes, this is a fun little brushed whoop, and it's a great little proximity cruiser. I'll put links below if you're interested in it for various sites that carry this thing. I think, again, what I'll do next is put the Project Mockingbird tune on it, and I'll do a video on that so you can see how you do that in the TBS X Agent. And I think that the flight video I did at my mother's house, she's 89 years old going on 90, and she's always game to try new things, and she really loved the FPV feed of me flying around her house, and she was amazed at the video quality when I put some FPV goggles. She was thought it was pretty cool. So with that, I'll go ahead and show you the flight footage, and as always, thanks for watching.